Hello everyone, and welcome to Books and Icky Chic Designs on Etsy. I've had a couple of questions on how I make my fabric greeting cards, and so I thought I would just go through a few of them today and show you how to do that. If you've been junk journaling at all, or you've been working with fabric, or you've been a card maker, all of this will be very simple for you. And even if you're a beginner or new at it, I believe that you can see and adapt what you want to take away from this video and use it in your own design style. Now, when I start with a 5x7 envelope and a piece of cardstock that is cut just a little shy of that on all sides. I take probably 1/8 of an inch off each side of the cardstock. I'll cut it 5x7 to begin with, and then I'll shave it down 1/8 of an inch on all sides. That's because when I put a sewn element on it, it always has a little overhang, and so that allows then the card to have room to slip in to the envelope without buckling up on you. So make sure that you cut your card, basic card, down a little bit from the size of whatever envelope you're going to use. And so, of course, your card size depends on the size envelope that you want to use. I love these big cards because when they're inserted into a junk journal, they really make a statement on their own. And it's like getting a whole gift besides the journal itself. And so I use the scraps that I have, both paper scraps and fabric scraps. Whatever I've got left over from what I've been working on is what I use to make these cards. So there's a lot of collaging involved in doing something like that, or just picking up some weird little pieces of stuff and putting it on there in an artistic way. Now the back side, once I finish the front, on the back side, I simply cover it. I glue it on with a glue, but I just cover the back side because that covers all the stitching on the back side of the cardstock that I've been sewing onto. And I'll use a piece of decorative paper normally, and I may or may not add wording or embellishment. Just depends on what I want to do with that particular card. But it leaves plenty of room for a note or a short letter, so it makes a great greeting card type thing. Now on the front, on this card, what I did first was I got this blue piece of fabric, and I simply, you can see the zigzag, I simply sewed it around the edge of the cardstock. And then I trimmed it to fit with just a little bit of a hangover, okay? Then I had this piece left over from a collaging piece of artwork that I was doing. So it kind of looked like water, a murky pond of sorts. So I thought, well, let's just go with that. So down here I put another piece of fabric, stuck some of the strings that I had laying around on there. In fact, this one isn't attached. And so it added to that look of stuff going around the pond. And then I had another little piece of scrap, so I just sewed that on the edge, opened it up, tucked the wording under there, and hid it back, okay? Then I made a tag that out of fabric that would slide in, and it's strictly paper on the back, so that there's another little note making area here. So this card has two areas that can be written on, the tag and the back side. Okay, let's look at the next one. Same sizes are used here, same cardstock trimmed down. This one I used a magazine cutout that I like. I love the colors of it, and it was pretty generic, a book, a plant, and something pretty in the background, but the colors I really liked, and so that's what I used on the front here. Now again, I simply sewed a piece of decorative fabric to the cardstock that I had trimmed down to fit. Then I put this music paper. I put a little fabric over that. I put the a magazine piece over that, layered some fabric lace over that, and then sewed all that down. Okay, I sewed the big piece only on the sides and here so that I could slip something into it like a pocket. And then I made this just little tiny booklet just with a fold over piece of cardstock. I glued a piece of fabric to it so it'd have something to hang on to pull it out. And actually this particular pocket is double. You can do it here or you can do it behind. So that makes a nice little element for that. And when you're designing, make sure that whatever you're going to tuck in will go flush with the edge, because that's going to fully fill that envelope. And if it goes over, then the envelope won't close. Okay, so then when I got through sewing all these elements, then I flipped it over and took a piece of decorative paper, glued it on there, put a little wording on there. Again, plenty of place for writing as a greeting card on here. Okay, and it's fun to use magazine pictures and illustrations that we really like. Just remember that this is all about collaging up. We have the back paper, we have some fabric, we have another piece of fabric, we have the picture, and then we have other fabric on top. So you just want to collage it up until it feels like the composition is good to you. That would be your style. Okay, this one is, again, it's the same principle with the cardstock. This one I made a little different card. It opens up for writing areas. This comes out and it has area on the back to write. This has actually 3 pockets along this side here, and that just makes a cute little introduction to the card itself with lots of little note areas. Again, the piece of fabric is first sewn to the cardstock. That gives you that fabric background. And then you turn it over and glue your paper. Now, when I first had this larger piece of paper, it was actually short. It wouldn't cover my whole backing. So I found another piece that I had torn off, and I just put that on top, and that makes a nice little additional embellishment there. I didn't add any wording or anything to this one. I thought it was pretty busy all by itself. Okay, it's another idea. Here's another one that I made using a magazine photo. Again, the fabric is the base layer, sewn first on the cardstock, and I do sew it with a zigzag stitch. That helps keep it from being frayed any more than it needs to be. I did use some music paper, a couple of pieces of fabric down the side and top, and then I placed the magazine illustration on top of that, and then a little piece of lace on top of that. And so that down again, the large piece, all this is sewn to the large piece first, because you can see that it's stitched through here, and if I had it on the card when I stitched it that way, it would close down the pocket. So all this is created first, and then it's laid on the top, and I stitch on the 3 sides, which allows me to have a card area. And what is tucked in here is just one of those little baggies that you can get, and I put some different things in here, dried flowers and a piece of lace and some pretty fabric. I put paper on the back so that it could be a journaling spot. Add a little ruffle to the top, and again it fits flush with the side so that it can go into the envelope. On the back again, I did the back, much like I did the one before. And I didn't add anything to it because it was quite decorative already. Okay, let's look at this one. This one was just a fun idea that I started with. I thought, well, I took my card and I sewed the first piece of fabric, and then I came and sewed a pretty wide piece of lace in here, and then next to that I sewed one of my designer fabric strips down through there. This made 2 pockets that this way, and you can tuck all kinds of cute little things in there to send along. This on the back has a journaling area, and so does this card here. So that's just a fun use of pieces of things you might already have, scraps and things. I turned it over and I glued the paper to the back side of this one and made a little wording element. Again, giving plenty of room for note or a small letter. Okay, this one's fun, especially if you have junk journaling friends, to have all the little ephemera tucked in there. This one, I started out with this back piece of fabric that was embroidered, and it had beautiful elements on it itself. So I didn't want to add a whole lot more to that. But what I did do was I made a little tuck spot down here, and I made a little journaling card using the same fabrics. I added a little fabric to the side and a little embellishment to the front, and that just sticks in there like that. Really simple. And then the back side is very simple. Plenty of writing area. This one, you can see the cardstock right here. It's just black. It has the simple piece added to the back for writing. Okay, on this one, I used one of my little gathered embellishments that I use for belly bands and things. So I put that on like a belly band, and then I made this card. Okay, it's just made out of an old book page with some cardstock on the front and then some torn paper on the sides. But then I added a journaling card to this. That's got a journaling space on both sides. Put a little fabric tab on it, and it slides in really nice like that. And then it tucks in. So it becomes a card with additional writing areas on that. As you can see, anything goes. Whatever your mind comes up with, or whatever you've got laying on your desk in pieces and parts. If you made a piece of ephemera, you haven't used it yet, it didn't quite fit in the last project you were doing, well, stick it on a card. It's very unique to that. This is our last one, and this one has just a little tuck spot right there. And this one is made of just stripping fabrics. Again, I stripped all this piece together itself and made a piece out of it. And then I sewed it onto the card and added the little embellishment. This is just another little embellishment card with a little tiny fabric flip on it. It's kind of hard to say, fabric flip. And then on the back side, again, is pretty writing area. You could see how receiving a card like this would be not only sending your thoughts, but sending a little piece of yourself, a little piece of artwork, a little piece of your love of crafting, whatever it is that you do. Now, I've done all these in fabric, but every one of them could be adapted to paper. So it could be entirely paper. So it's nothing difficult about it. If you have fabric, if you like to sew your elements, do it that way. If not, then simply adapt it, the thought or the idea, to paper, and make your own greeting cards. Your friends will love receiving them. I've had tremendous compliments on these cards, and I do believe that it's because a person can tell that I've put a lot of work and effort into them, and so it's something unique from me and from something that I really like to do. Okay, I hope that gave you some inspiration today, and please come back and visit me again, and please tell your friends about my channel. I'd like to grow my channel, and so I could use your help with that. So thank you so much for being with me today, and happy creating.